Kate.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are excited to talk about the Starkey product line. It was very interesting after the Georgia Academy October CEU event. I had so many of you guys that reached out and said, I'm excited to learn more about this, more about that. So I took a lot of that into account as I put together my portion of the presentation tonight. A lot of the questions that came from you guys did have to do with current product offerings and implications of those product offerings, what patients were right for this or not right for this. And so, I said, let's call in the big guns. And so I reached out to our education and training staff, and we are very blessed tonight to have one of our finest trainers all the way from the Pacific Northwest, Jim Knutson. And I apologize that I didn't do as much of a history lesson as I should have, but I believe Jim's been here for around 14 years. With Starkey and served in various roles, however, been in the industry for much longer than that. And he now serves as one of our fantastic audiology trainers for education and training. So he's going to join us now and do a product overview and go into specifics of all these products that you guys have been asking about. Once Jim finishes up, then I'll take over again and go through a few extras. But any questions that you guys do have in the chat box down there at the bottom, Laura Strode is going to be monitoring that, and we can definitely post those questions, and we'll have a time at the end for questions and answers. But Laura, if at any point something seems like it needs, the urgency needs to get asked quickly, then go ahead and stop us. It's just around 14, maybe 20 of us tonight. So very informal. In fact, it's still 4 o'clock where Jim is. And so, he's still in his day. So ladies and gentlemen, I will present to you Jim Knutson.
Great, Kate. Thank you very much. Greetings, everybody, from the other side of the country. My name's Jim Knutson, and Kate was being very generous with you from a standpoint of saying 14 years. This is actually my 20th year at Starkey and my 36th year in the profession. So I can easily say, yes, I started doing hearing aids when all you had was a screwdriver to adjust them. So it's been an incredible ride to kind of watch that progression. I'm going to reach down here and set up my screen share real quick and get this started. And good. Everybody got that screen now, I hope.
We do see it. We just see it in not in the full mode.
Oh, you're not seeing it in the full mode? Okay, hold on. Let's get that open. Okay, I need to flip screens here. Hold on. I'm getting there. From current slide, show up. You're still seeing the partial screen?
It is still the partial screen.
Huh. They've got me a little backwards here, so I apologize for that, folks.
What is that for? What's that for, Mommy?
We've got some newbies in the industry starting tonight.
Yeah, baby.
Get them young.
Okay, let's see if I can't get this switched around here.
I feel like whenever I use Zoom, it's the same. It's backwards for me. It shows me the views, like my view screen, as opposed to a full presentation. Hey, that's it.
That did it?
That's perfect. Thank you, Jim.
That's what I wanted to do. You know what? Even a blind squirrel gets lucky every now and then. So.
Very true.
Well, good, good, good. Well, let's talk. First of all, welcome everybody. I hope we get a chance today, and I'm going to go over through a lot of the new product that we have available with us at Starkey. And it's an exciting time for us with Starkey. We're really looking at the idea of implementing some technology right now that never before has been implemented in the hearing aid industry. And it's an incredible, exciting time. When I talk about my history and thinking about, like I just said, screwdrivers were what my adjustment capabilities were in the beginning of fitting hearing aids. And now it overwhelms me to see what we can do and the benefit that we can provide to our patients, not only now with hearing aids, but with the new healthable technology that we're employing in our hearing aids. So let's take a little quick look here and see if we can't move forward and talk a little bit more about some of those next steps. Am I not advancing? Oh, hold on, guys. I still am losing control here. You know what? It always happens when you go live that you're going to start losing your ability to control what's happening and going on.
Absolutely. But in the time that you're figuring this out, I figured out on Zoom how to make your name not Kate Marr. So you're, again, Jim Knutson.
I am glad to hear that one. Now, if I could get this to work right, we'll be in better shape. It's always a little backwards from the way you want it. There we go. That should give me the ability to move up with that. So boom, that's what we were looking for. So now let's see if I can get going again. So again, what we want to talk about today is Livio Edge AI and the Livio product line in general. And what I really want to share with you is a little bit of a higher level of what's available and some of the things that we went through to actually develop this. We started this project probably 2 years ago from a standpoint of, now I'm getting no screens. Come on. You know what? It never works the way you want to. I'm so sorry, folks.
You're good. No, it's advancing.
Are you going to the next slide? I'm not going to the next slide now.
No, we still see Welcome to Technology's Leading Edge. Now
And
we're
now
going
that's
somewhere.
Great. Nothing there. Okay, hold on. Why am I not picking this up? I'm sorry, folks. I'm working on this.
Tomorrow we'll compile the list of everybody that's attended. If you're a member of Georgia Academy, then you're eligible for the 2 hours for CEUs, and you'll probably receive an email. I would say maybe Monday or Tuesday. If you haven't received it, maybe by the end of next week, just let me know. And I know just be aware because it's a holiday week next week, but I do want to make sure that everybody gets their CEUs. So, but you'll receive an email from Starkey, thank you for attending, and there'll be a link on there for you to click on and to receive your CEUs. So make sure that if you don't get an email, or if you get the email but kind of push it by the side, you'll want to go ahead and click the link, fill it out, because you maybe have about 10 days to make sure that you get that filled out and receive your CEUs. Like I said, any questions that you may have, you can put those in the chat box, and I've got the chat box available to watch in case anybody comes up with any questions. And everyone in the great state of Georgia is patient as can be and used to these Zoom calls, and excited to see that Jim's doing something different now that's working.
Okay, you got it now?
I think so. I see the full screen. Let's see if you can advance.
Let's see. And from that standpoint, I am in good shape.
Oh,
Here we
fantastic.
go.
Here we go.
Boy, okay. Well, that was an inauspicious start, not the way I wanted to start with the Georgia Academy, but let's get back to what we were talking about with Livio and the Livio new Edge AI. And again, in 2018, we really started this journey to reinvent the hearing aid. In the past 2 years, we've really done some amazing things to kind of revolutionize what's happening in the hearing aid industry with Livio AI. It's really the world's first healthable hearing aid, and last year, we were actually recognized by Time Magazine as being one of the best inventions of the year. So we're obviously going in a really good direction. And again, what we want to talk about is what we're actually pushing forward. With Livio Edge and Livio AI, we're trying to look at the fact of adding more features, more ability. You know, if you remember years ago, we went through, we always use the analogy of when the iPhone came out. And we went from a telephone to going to a telephone, a computer, a communication device, all sorts of different things right in the palm of your hand. Well, the same thing somewhat applied to a hearing aid is that we really wanted to look at the idea of what could we do with a hearing aid and what type of added features could we actually add to that hearing aid. So again, we now have introduced the most complete line of rechargeable hearing aids in the industry from a standpoint of looking at RICs, custom, as well as a brand new BTE that we've come out with. We have a game-changing sound quality where we have over 100 different patents in looking at our Hearing Reality Pro and the application of those patents. And then the ultimate control and connectivity now with the Thrive app and the things that we continue to do to expand what we're doing with the Thrive app. Now with this release, we've also decided that we wanted to start making our ability of the fitting experience better for you, the professional, as well as the patient, and having a better application of what we're doing in technology and making more efficient that process we're going through, because that time that we actually spend with that patient right now is becoming more and more valuable to us. So again, in the latest line of rechargeable hearing aids, the first thing that came to mind is what are we going to use? And lithium ion now is one of the most popular hearing aid battery technologies out there. We see it used in all sorts of consumer electronics and cars, and it's really had an amazing impact on what we're doing in hearing aid technology. All day performance, and more importantly, the ease of use for that patient. And looking at it now, some of the additions that you've seen for us is that we also added the new most powerful 2.4 gigahertz rechargeable BTE on the market today. We've actually put an industry leading charger design now, which will go through customs, the BTE and RICs, as well as a turbocharger, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a bit. We actually have the first custom rechargeable on the market, and the timing of this could not have been better. We'll talk more about what this application or kind of a reintroduction as I look at it to custom hearing aids, especially now with the world of masks that we have to deal with. And then again, the biggest line of lithium ion rechargeable hearing aids in the industry. So we've got a very strong rechargeable line now that we're proud of to introduce to you and talk more about it. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about that we're excited about is the new custom rechargeable. And the new custom rechargeable came up with a new faceplate design that we had to reinvent that nobody had used before from a standpoint of making each hearing aid easily connected to their charger and consistent. We didn't want any mechanical keying features when we looked at this, but our unique contact design offers these hearing aids to plug into this charger in a 360-degree rotation and maintain that connection for doing the charging. There are a whole lot of different recharging methods that we looked at when we came up with this hearing aid, and it really came down to the aspect of usability. We wanted to make sure that we really had something that was usable. And you can see the three little dots on the top of the faceplate of the hearing aid there. The three outside charging posts are the negative charging posts, which surround the positive charging post. These three posts all can work independently or together to make that consistent connection and charge with the custom hearing devices. And again, when it comes to power with the custom hearing devices, it really came to the idea of saying we're in good shape. So we have 23 hours of performance with 4 hours of streaming. That's going to take care of most individuals' days. And we'll also go through the idea of we can recharge these to a full capacity in a 3.5 hour time frame. So again, very fast, very efficient. Again, all of our custom devices are also connectable with the 2.4 gigahertz wireless technology. So again, delivering everything that hopefully the patient needs to effectively use a rechargeable hearing aid. We want it to be custom, convenient, and comfortable. All these hearing aids are still on the Thrive platform, or what we're using with all of our current Livio devices. The artificial intelligence and the embedded sensors are actually on board with the hearing aids. So that's something that's unique to our product, is that everything is actually contained within the hearing aid. Compatible again with all of our 2.4 gigahertz accessories, which I want to talk a little bit more about the new table mic and some of the uses that we've had with that, because that's been pretty amazing. Again, we're available in the styles of an ITE, a half shell, and an ITC. We have 3 different user control configurations in that we can use a push button, we can use a rotary volume control, and if the ear actually gives us the ability to use both of them, we can use that too and put both of those controls on the hearing aid. But again, obviously ear size is going, or conscious size is going to have a big effect on that. Up to a 130/70 matrix and a custom device, which again goes back to the idea, if you want power and you want it in a smaller custom device, we can achieve that at Starkey, and we're proud of that. The telecoil only exists in the ITE, and that's simply from a standpoint of space. Obviously, the orientation and what we've learned in recent years in telecoils and the ineffectiveness of traditional telecoils and the positioning. Well, obviously with ITEs, we still have a bigger issue of being able to do the positioning to make sure that we get that optimal performance in an ITE as well as we do in our BTEs and RICs. So again, the other part that's wonderful about this is that custom rechargeables are not only available in the high end, they're available through the entire product line. So Livio Edge AI, Livio AI, and Livio, you can order all of these in custom rechargeable type of forms. And no, they don't just come in black. You can see in the bottom that they come in a full array of face colors and faceplate colors and shell colors. If you look at the general design of the hearing aid, it really is a phenomenal type of device. What you see in the third down there is the actual circuit board that actually wraps around the battery compartment and the charging station for that lithium-ion battery. So again, a lot of technology has been powered into this and built into these devices. And again, with customs, who knew how customs could be so much more applicable now, and looking at it and what we've run into from a standpoint of wearing masks right now. I think all of us have run into a patient now that has pulled their hearing aid off. In fact, I'm going to share a story with you in a little bit about Find Our Hearing Aid and one of our great audiologists out here in the Northwest, Neil Aiello, and what he ran into. It was a pretty great story in the use and the benefit of the Find My Hearing Aid feature within the Thrive app. So again, let's talk real quickly at this addition that we've made regarding the new BTE, which is again the world's smallest, most powerful 2.4 gigahertz BTE. We wanted a complete line of hearing aids and know that BTEs are still an applicable fitting for an awful lot of people and preference in an awful lot of situations. So again, we're looking at the performance of it, and a 22-hour performance includes 4 hours of streaming. And again, that 3.5-hour charge time makes it a very efficient, easy rechargeable device to use. The features looking at it, artificial intelligence and embedded sensor technology in the AI models, Edge and Livio AI. We have the 2.4 gigahertz wireless technology, again, which works with all of the current accessories we have in the product line. It's available also through the entire product line. Again, whatever level your patient is going to use and how they need to apply it, whether it's the huge advancements in Edge AI, Livio AI, or just plain Livio without the sensor technology, you can do the BTR in all those formats. An IP rating of 68 makes it a very robust, very durable type of product. Right now, the controls on it is only a push button. And again, that got back to the aspect of the size of the BTE. So again, you can go through the aspect of controlling the push button with a push or push and hold on each side. But again, we took the rocker switch, and that really came down to the idea of wanting to make a smaller, more comfortable BTE. Telecoil placement, as we talked about before, the 130/70 output, and also thin tube compatibility is available with the BTER. And from a standpoint of the charging options that you look at, we have a full array of some industry leading type of chargers, from our standard charger that works with the BTE as well as the RIC and is interchangeable between those two in the newer form of it. One of the things that I wanted to make clear when we were talking about the chargers is the older form of chargers will not work with the new BTE. However, the BTE will work with any of the older RIC devices that were previously on the market. The custom charger is really a wonderful device that we put in and that we tested literally with thousands of different ear molds to make sure that we could place these in and make them easily closable and consistent. We did have to modify a little bit of the custom charger from a standpoint of the decusant puck or dehydration puck that we have in the standard charger, in that we had to take out simply due to the size of some of the ears that we were putting into in this custom phase. But again, not a huge issue that we've dealt with. And there's a number of different options that we've come up regarding different gel packs and different things that you can actually place in the charger that achieves the same thing. The mini turbocharger was really come up with when we first came up with making our RIC devices a cross compatible type of device. Because very simply, when we're using a cross device, we're using that NFMI antenna or ear to ear antenna much more consistently. And that caused a bigger drain on that battery. So as opposed to that 22 to 24 hours that we were getting with the standard products and the custom products, when you go into a RIC mode and go into the cross mode, that NFMI antenna is being used very consistently, and that will diminish your battery life with cross units down to about a 15-hour time period. As a result of that, we started thinking to ourselves, what do we need to do? And the answer was very simply, we needed a quick, efficient way to get some of those individuals through that full day. The mini turbocharger is a small device. It can easily be kept in a purse or a lapel pocket. If any of you seen it, you've seen the size of it. But once the hearing aid falls below a 20% charge, you can actually plug the devices into the mini turbocharger and get it up to a 20% charge in 7 minutes. This will give you 3.5 to 4 hours of actual use time in just a 7-minute quick charge. So it was a very good solution for us with the cross, as well as the fact that we actually got a great battery into this that offered us 4 consecutive charges with the mini turbocharger. So even with the standard charger and the custom charger, we had 3 consecutive full charges based on the charge that was put into the battery. So you could recharge your hearing aids completely 3 times in either one of those. With the mini turbocharger, you actually get 4 complete charges out of that. So from a standpoint of leaving for a weekend and not have to worry about plugging your charger in, but keeping your hearing aids working for that weekend, we've got a lot of great options for you. So again, we want everybody to know that you can be very confident when looking at getting a complete line and picking the appropriate hearing aid for your patient. These have really been exciting things to work with, and a new technology that's really changing the way that we're looking at hearing aids and the way that we're fitting hearing aids. And this is just a nice little opening, I hope, from a standpoint of letting you know a little bit more about what we have to offer in this lineup. Now to dive in a little bit deeper into this is we want to talk a little bit more about edge mode. And edge mode is truthfully an incredible type of AI application to mechanical learning that we've used with sound management for ages now. So again, what we've done is we've actually taken the aspect of our Hearing Reality Pro and applied AI to it, and more importantly, edge computing, a very fast, very efficient form of AI that we very easily can initiate with the edge AI with a double tap on the side of the hearing aid or a long push of the control button. We're also looking and exploring the idea of a new feature that's called IntelliVoice. And IntelliVoice is finally trying to take advantage of the microphones and cell phones. We've done this for a long time and tried to use that microphone from a cell phone as something that we could use as a remote mic. The truth of the matter is we haven't done a great job with that. What we've done in our researchers in Israel right now, where our main research facility is based, is also based on the idea of looking at the idea of what we can do with the current microphones and the hearing aids, as well as the microphones in the cell phones, because there has inevitably been huge variables that we've dealt with, and we're still dealing with looking at those in these applications. But again, it's something that we're taking the first step with IntelliVoice. We'll talk a little bit more as we go forward about that, because there's still limited application on it, but it's trying to open up a new frontier of using both of these tools that we have to have with us with the new hearing aids. And artificial intelligence is really what the key is to making these hearing aids work the way that they are going to. So it really makes it possible for us to do things that traditionally would take very a human interaction for us to actually use, or a human programming. So again, what we're trying to do is make this a quicker, more efficient way of applying technology and classifying acoustic environments, doing the brain and body tracking, doing the fall detection, doing all the different things that we can do to really kind of add those features and that function to hearing aids that we've never applied before. And we can also start adding the real cool factors from a standpoint of support of the tracking activities. We can go through the idea of language translation now. We can go through the idea of using the smart monitor and the Thrive Assistant really to answer questions. In fact, that's one of my favorite things to use our hearing aids with, is I can sit there very quietly when somebody has a question. I can double tap my right edge hearing aid and quietly ask it a question of, what years were Lincoln the president, and it gives me that information in my ear and nobody else. And occasionally I've come up with looking way smarter than I really am at times. So it's been a nice little addition from a standpoint of looking at what we're using and how we're using it. And again, Hearing Reality Pro is something we're very proud of. We have done incredibly good research and advancements in looking at our noise management capabilities. As I said before, we have over 100 different patents that we can contribute to sound quality right now with Starkey. But we also look at the idea of taking all those great sound management capabilities and applying that with AI technology. So again, acoustic classification, real-time binaural signal processing, when it goes into an adaptive directionality. And we'll talk a little bit more of that as we go through edge mode and look at the different features that it offers us. So in looking at edge mode, what we've done is we've really tried to take this new edge computing and really apply it not just to noisy situations, but apply this AI-based analysis to all different environments that we get into. Now, there's a couple things that we've talked about in looking at edge mode and some of the different unique aspects of it. So again, what is edge mode really doing? Well, it's continually analyzing what the environment is. Every 6 milliseconds, we're analyzing what's happening in that patient's environment. And we want to look at what those different type of adaptation we need to give them the best signal to noise ratio and the best, most comfortable listening situation. Now, the one thing that people need to understand is that edge mode is only applied when you walk into any particular situation. The example I give to people about this is, let's say you walk in and your hearing aids are just on and you haven't initiated edge mode. When you walk into your local coffee shop and between the steamers running and the people having different conversations, very commonly, you very quickly got into a pretty difficult listening situation there. Now, when you walk into edge mode and using that, you can literally walk in after sitting in there for just a few seconds, reach up and tap your hearing aid, setting it off and putting it into edge mode. Now, you can either use the tap or you can use a push button, whatever you prefer to use from a standpoint of the user controls. I very easily will walk in. I have my left hearing aid set up for edge mode. I can tap that, and all of a sudden I go in and it becomes more comfortable. It takes into all the aspects of what's going on in that environment and actually will exceed what the parameters are that you see in Thrive software, as opposed to the limits of what you'll see in noise management or speech and noise or any of those different features. So again, edge mode is actually all of those mechanical learning features and noise management that we have that has actually been put on steroids and expanded to really give a comfortable listening situation. The other part that's very interesting about edge mode is it doesn't have to be a noisy situation to get the benefit in it. I've actually had used mine when I was in a quiet room and I wanted to see what the response was. I tapped on it, and if there's a refrigerating, that old expansion aspect of looking at that low level input and keeping those softer sounds easier, edge mode works on them just as effectively and applies that noise management just as well as it would on the loud side. So again, it's not a one-trick pony just for loud situations. It will act in both situations. And even more importantly, now that we think about it, we talk about edge mode for mask. And this really comes down to the idea of saying, look at all the variables that we all of a sudden have just kind of run into from a standpoint of wearing masks. I'm sure all of you have had patients come in and say, heck, I had difficulty before, but now with everybody wearing masks, it's a bigger problem for me, which obviously makes sense to all of us as the professionals that deal with it. We know that the visual cues are. We know that listening isn't just a matter of hearing, it's a matter of facial expressions. It's an aspect of all those things we've talked about for years with our patients. Well, edge mode really came along at a pretty optimal time for us, because what edge mode can do now is actually take all those issues of what we've dealt with regarding face masks, regarding social distancing, regarding background noise. And we actually went back and we studied a little bit about what was happening with that and looked at it. We found some very interesting results. First of all, we looked at the idea of, are all masks the same? We see everybody from people wearing gaiters to N95 masks to, the traditional surgical cloth mask. And what we found out was they're not the same. There are very different type of applications or effects based on different masks. So Dave Fabry and his group went in and got old Kemar out, and we started looking at the idea of what some of these aspects were. So from a standpoint of looking at 3 feet with no mask, comparing it to 6 feet wearing an N95 mask, we did it with cloth masks. And to give you a quick idea, what we found was there was up to a 6 to 8 dB difference from a standpoint of what people were hearing based on wearing masks. So there were huge effects here that obviously we knew were going to affect our patients and we wanted to take advantage of. So again, what did we do? We looked at the idea of setting a baseline, which is the black line you see on this screen, with no mask and communicating at that level. We used a traditional cloth mask and wrapped up. We have our paper mask, excuse me. We also use the one with the Starkey label, cloth mask. And then the one that a lot of professionals are using right now with a clear plastic shield in it, to actually try to use a little bit of lip reading capability with our patients. And what we found was pretty amazing. If you look at all these different settings, the smallest effect really came down to the idea of looking at the cloth mask and what the effect was in attenuation of the signal. Um, the paper mask, again, had pretty good or awful extensive type of attenuation in the higher pitch frequencies, particularly. But interestingly enough, look at that last one with the clear mask. We actually had a resonant spike with these masks in those mid frequencies, right around between 1600 and 2000. So it really was amazing to us to see the fact that we actually created a resonant quality with that plastic shield that was in there for lip reading capabilities. The great thing in looking at the idea of edge mode is the idea that we had the ability that each one of these masks could easily accommodate and change as a result of what that input was. In fact, one of the things that we say now is that if you want to initiate edge mode from a standpoint of listening to someone with a mask, you may walk into a situation where people have masks on. We truthfully tell people to wait and have somebody talk a little bit before you initiate the edge mode. By waiting and having the hearing aid actually analyze that input of that individual, the hearing aid will take that edge mode and apply those changes in directivity, all the different parameters that we have in noise management and gain, and look at the idea of what we want to apply to it. So it really is one of those caveats that we say if we want the best result in using edge mode for mask use, we want them to actually speak a little bit with the mask on to get the full effect of what we're using that artificial intelligence with. So again, we're looking at the idea of all these different environments and all these different effects that we're having now and looking at from the effects that we're having with people and really different varying situations. And all we've done now is do a huge job in confounding what we can do with masks. We still want people to understand, and it's even more important now than ever. Here we did a quick look at the idea of what happened when wearing a mask. So what we did was we did a normal one. So the black line you see at the center here is just normal hearing or standardized normal hearing, or the baseline of it. What we did is we put a standard N95 mask on somebody, and the result was in the drop was the blue line that you're seeing. So obviously huge impairment from a standpoint of what the problem that a patient's going to face. Then we actually went in and put the edge mode in with a mask on and got the brown line up at the top. So in some cases, we actually found the fact that we were making people hear better in being in edge mode with the hearing aids. They were hearing worse normally with no mask. So again, there are huge benefits in this AI intelligence and how it's being applied to the parameters of the hearing aids. And we think it's a huge plus for us. And we also learned a little bit more about how to make more hearing aids work better. So we started looking at the idea of just general speech audibility. And again, all these things we've talked about, what type of mask are they using? And what we wanted to do was see what that average was that people were getting. So what we did is we went in and standardized and looked at what some of these averages were, and we came up with the application in using mask mode. And mask mode is a custom memory that's designed to make people hear better with mask on, that doesn't take advantage of the artificial intelligence with the sound management and hearing aid parameters. So what we did was we took a close look here, and what we found out was that primarily there was a mid frequency and a high frequency drop, no matter what mask you were using. So again, what mask mode is doing, it's an app-based feature. So one of the pluses of this is we also thought about the idea of saying, we may not have people coming in that want to take advantage of this. This feature is based on the app and is easily done with a Thrive app update. By doing that, the patient can easily update their app on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and actually apply this, turn it on, and add the mask memory to their hearing aids without having to come in and have that office contact right now that, let's face it, some people are a little nervous about going through that process. But again, it'll make an on-demand gain by simply making a memory change within the Thrive app. um, and again, you can go in and just do a memory change again and take this off. Generally, what we're looking at is that we're looking at mask mode offers a 4 dB increase between 2000 and 4000 hertz, and then a 6 dB increase above 4000 hertz. So again, it's giving us that mid to high frequency plus, or helping with those consonants that traditionally we're going to have issues with. So again, one of the things that we look at is that, again, you see the normal memory. You can see mask mode goes in very easily by looking at making an easy adjustment. Mask mode is in the settings menu. You go in, you go to your device settings, you bring up device settings, and there exists mask mode. And then you very easily turn that feature on. Mask mode will appear and it will give you an indicator that you've turned it on. Now you can go back to your current memory in your mask, navigate to your home screen, and go to your custom memories on that main screen. And there you see the mask mode, and that's where you would pick it. So it's a very easy addition to actually implement this in all of the hearing aids and all of our Livio hearing aids. So again, it's one of those things that we're very happy to sit there and say, this isn't something we're just putting in high-end devices. This is an easy add-on to all of our current and existing Livio devices. Simply updating the app is what you need to do to be able to perform this. So again, in edge mode, we're actually using AI to put the patient, or the power of AI, and using that to optimize that audibility of speech and really do unique things that no other hearing aid's doing right now in its computational evaluation, environmental evaluation. Mask mode is, again, a fixed type of thing that uses directionality as well as high frequency emphasis to overcome those issues that we deal with in mask wearing. IntelliVoice. As I spoke about earlier, IntelliVoice was one of those areas that we wanted to take advantage or start exploring the ability of what we could do from a standpoint of using the microphones on your cell phone in remote mic function. Traditionally, people have tried this and we haven't done really good. Sometimes with Apple, because of their frequency reduction in certain areas for sound quality purposes, it never really came off the way we wanted to. What we did, what Achin and his team did, was look at the idea of saying, what if we can do something with a phone that will actually use deep neural networking, which is a computational value, and have these microphone and devices learn about what the response is and how it's responding in different environments. And that's really what came up with IntelliVoice. The issue that we're dealing with IntelliVoice is that when you're going from a phone and transmitting to a hearing aid, you're still going to have delay times with that. And the delay times in that are minimal with iOS or Apple devices, but they're still there and they're still present. We don't want an echo effect. So what we did initially here in our first applications is dealing with the fact if we wanted to use this with people with more severe hearing losses. So again, the standard for the use of IntelliVoice is you have to have a 50 dB or greater hearing loss at 250 and 500 hertz. This is that we don't want open mold fittings to get that delay between the actual hearing aids and what's coming through the phone. So an attenuated type of response with this is, or what do I want to say? I said that wrong. What we wanted to do was be able to sit there and not have that low frequency that's coming into the ear naturally with a high frequency fitting. We still want amplified sound coming from the actual device or the remote microphone. So again, for this reason, we're only using this device with iOS Apple devices. We are not using this yet with Android. And the reason is that the time delay with Android was just too great. You got that way too big of a voice to visual to actual auditory function with the Android devices. So again, right now, you're only seeing this in Apple devices in a feature. This will not populate within the Thrive app unless those thresholds are 50 dB or greater in Inspire software. So everything about this appearing within the app is based on the idea of what your thresholds that are actually put in to your Inspire software or your NOAA software too, for that matter. So again, it has to be 50 dB or greater at 250 or 500 hertz. And again, it's located in the accessory tab because we actually look at this as an extra accessory or an assistive device accessory, just like we do a remote mic or the table mic or anything else. So that's where that lies. So again, it talks about the activation. You literally tip the play app to start the icon, just like you would with any of the other accessory devices. We actually have regular or enhanced based on the preferred listening situation. Enhanced is what will take advantage of that deep neural networking. Regular is just using the microphone that's within that Apple product with the elimination of the low frequency reduction that exist in that remote mic feature within the Apple microphones. Again, the hearing aid microphone and sliders, you can actually adjust this from a standpoint of what's coming straight through the hearing aid, just like you can with any of our accessories. And we always want to make sure you point the bottom of the phone towards the person that you want to listen to. That's where the microphones exist on iPhones, and that's the position we want to place them when we're actually using this device. So again, you can see we've got a very complete line available right now from a standpoint of looking at AI for everybody, and a lot of great features and things that you can apply. This again will look at the idea of what the current product line and the features are from the Livio 2400 at the far left and all the way down to the 1200. So again, a lot of great features we're applying, and we're not dummying down. Even when you get down to the 1200, you still have target match down there. You have your live sessions, which we'll talk about in a minute. But there's a lot of wonderful devices that you can take advantage as a feature throughout the product line. And again, in looking at some of these new features you'll see are updates based on the idea of current product out in the field. So again, in looking at live sessions or REM targeting, you want to make sure that you actually do the updates of the actual hearing aids. Other updates are more based on the Thrive app, and those updates are listed in the blue here as what needs to happen with updates in the Thrive app as opposed to the Inspire updates. And firmware updates for that matter is what I'm trying to say there. So again, we want to make sure that we were not just looking at the hearing aid, but we wanted to make see if we could make things better from a standpoint of your application as the professionals, and start applying this. And live sessions was something that was an obvious need that we needed to respond to in our world today. Our ability to incorporate live sessions and respond appropriately to our patients' needs based on what their lifestyle or what they're dealing with in their life right now really becomes a huge portion of what we wanted to do. So again, hearing care anywhere, as a lot of you knew, is we had what we called asynchronous sessions before. And asynchronous sessions were really when you put in a complaint, send it into your professional, and then the professional would respond to that complaint based on what you told them and send it back to you to download into the hearing aid to try it out. That was a great and a good first step. And what we really were trying to do with the asynchronous responses was really not give patients an excuse to not come visit you and have that one-on-one contact. We thought that was very important and will always be important from a standpoint of the appropriate application of our hearing technology. But now with the world that we're dealing with, live sessions became a bigger issue, and we wanted to make sure that we updated them. So again, we know what the advantages are. We know that now with live sessions, we can increase all these aspects of engagement, outcomes, give people better satisfaction, and again, create that relationship with you, the professional, that we still feel very strongly is a key part to successful use. The synchronous remote sessions now have come up from a standpoint of your ability to allow real-time type of changes and adjustments in a two-way audio-visual link. As you can see here, the screen comes up on the right-hand side that also has the patient's picture, your picture, the navigation, just like you would have on a Zoom call. It shows the connectivity. And then it also looks at the idea of what the different styles are that are available. These are compatible and can be used with iOS and Android devices, and there's no limitations. The one thing about live sessions that is very important, I'm going to highlight this as I go forward. I'm going to show you a little video that we put together about showing a live session. But what it really came down to is if you've used Inspire software before, you'd realize that when we make a change in the software, it's in the hearing aid. After that, you don't have to worry about it, like the old days of having to sync the hearing aid after you made adjustments. Now with live sessions, you do have to do that syncing. And that's in that bottom down below the picture of the patient there. And we'll show exactly what that is. And we'll give you a quick example of that. But again, we still offer both sessions. So you can have asynchronous or synchronous live sessions available to you within the Hearing Care Anywhere dashboard. So again, you can use both of them from adjustment capabilities, or you can choose one. If you go through it, you'll see the aspect of it. Well, let me go through real quick. To be able to do this, obviously you need a fitting computer with Inspire software, your hearing care dashboard, and an internet connection. Patients need a 2.4 Thrive platform hearing aids, smart device, the Thrive Hearing Control app, and an internet connection. It does not have to be Wi-Fi to achieve this. You can do this over a cellular connection. And again, from a standpoint of compatibility with phones, all iOS phones, iPads, iPods that are iOS 13 or higher, or a variety of different Android devices will work with this as well. The existing dashboard comes up. This is where you'll make a choice of exactly what type of method that you want to use within your clinic, whether it's synchronous, asynchronous, or both. So a drop-down menu will pop up with these options. This is done and handled by your administrator of the Hearing Care Anywhere dashboard. Several people have different clinics that will be doing different responses and different clinicians applying this. This feature, once it's chosen, is what will be applied to everybody that works under this Hearing Care Anywhere system within those adjoined clinics. And again, hearing aid users will have to make sure that they update their version of the Thrive Hearing Control app to make sure that they do live sessions. So again, live sessions are very much like any other type of appointment. You schedule an appointment, you designate a time, you have the patient join the session. Once they join the session and you're connected, you make all the necessary adjustments that you would make in your Inspire software, just like you would in a live or personal setting. The difference again in number 5 here, you'll see is that you actually have to sync those changes that are being made. Very important, because you can go in and make all these changes until you make that sync, that patient isn't going to hear them and you're not going to make those applications. So that is one big difference to standard programming that you're going to deal with. So here's just a quick video of going through the idea of what these actions are. And it's a little slow here, so bear with me as we kind of go through this. So when you pick a patient, the patient will come up and it gives you all the information from a standpoint of what they're wearing, their serial numbers, what their actual microphone is that they're using with it, or receiver they're using with it. NOAA and Inspire will launch at that time. As it begins to come up, the first thing that'll pop up is your own picture. In the upper right-hand corner is you as the professional, and then the actual user will come up. You see the navigation of turning off video, turning off microphone, and ending a call, as well as doing the settings on that. As you're having that initial conversation, the hearing aid will start to load in, and as the hearing aid begins to load in, pretty quick here, you'll get a pop-up of it that will actually show the connection of the hearing aid. There you see it in that upper left-hand corner of that picture screen. And that shows you that both of the hearing aids are connected. Then you can start having it. Now you'll notice down on the screen, you get something that's a thing that says that everything's up to date regarding firmware, and it evaluates that. The green check mark means that there's no programming in the hearing aid that needs to be changed. As a professional goes in and changes some of the actions on the actual live session, you'll see this blue bar comes up with a little circle in it. That will indicate to you that it needs to be synced before you exit. At that point, you push the button, you get the little green check mark, and that sync has been achieved to those hearing aids. Once that's done, you can go through, check, they'll be hearing the updates. At the end of the updates, you can very easily go down, end the call, and then you're going to come up and it's going to ask you to make sure you want to end the call. The one thing that you need to be aware of within your NOAA database, it will not indicate the difference between doing a live remote session and a live session. So we suggest that you put within your NOAA navigation, whether you're doing a live session, a remote session, put some indication into your notes of what the difference is and whether these adjustments were made live or under a remote programming. Multiflex Tinnitus Pro, I'm not going to go into deeply, but I wanted to update you a little bit that we changed what we did traditionally with our Multiflex Tinnitus Pro. Before, we were very dependent upon using some of the adjustments that SoundPoint or that patient controlled type of adjustment of tinnitus was. The problem, or the thing that we ran into and found out, is this was a device that I enjoyed using and I thought could be used very effectively, but out there in the field, SoundPoint was not being used. So we wanted to look at the idea of saying, what were the biggest complaints we were dealing with? So now with the new Edge mode or the higher end hearing aids, we're starting to try a new multiflex tinnitus approach. And in this, we're looking at the idea of, as opposed to just using white noise, which we did traditionally use, we're now using audiogram shape type of noise generation, as well as a new custom mode that we can go into. So again, to navigate this, you go to your left your left-hand navigation bar and literally pick tinnitus. It will access the tinnitus screen very simply. You'll get a drop-down menu of which approach you want to take, whether you want to use white noise, you want to use an audiogram shape, or you want to use custom. All of these different options, no matter what you're using, offer a 10,000 hertz bandwidth and 16 bands of adjustability to try to match that masking ability the best we can. Traditionally, we use white noise, but the problem that we dealt with white noise was that when you dealt with individuals with high frequency hearing loss, automatically low frequency stimulation of this white noise. This white noise was put in there based on a pure tone average. So it wasn't really specific regarding what the application was. Now we have added the aspect of audiogram shape. So again, we're multifix, or our initial starting point with a tinnitus stimulus is going to be based on what the audiogram is. So again, traditionally less hearing or a milder hearing loss and low frequency isn't going to have that same low frequency stimulus. Again, all these are equally as adjustable within the software, no matter what starting point you start with. And then the last one is a custom device. This is a protocol that we're using now that really is more of a bracketing method to set up the tinnitus stimulus. From looking at the idea of a sound that is just barely audible to what the patient identifies as a masking capable sound generation. And what we're trying to do is bracket them a little bit better to give a more customized or a closer starting point in looking at tinnitus. We actually have a full line of, or a new classes coming out on Audiology Online that addresses all of the protocol regarding our tinnitus masking. This is something you're using regularly in your clinic, I strongly encourage you to get on AO and take a look at some of our classes we have in this area. REM Target Match is a really great addition that we have that we're just starting to look at the beginning. I don't have to tell any of you exactly what the benefits of real ear measurement and the fact that we're using it as an identified best practice right now. We know what the benefits are. We know what we can do by doing real ear measurement, and we know what we can do from a standpoint of verification. What we did want to do was try to make it simpler and, more importantly for us, more accurate when you're dealing with Starkey hearing aids. Pardon me. One of the things that we've known for ages is that we know our hearing aids work best when we apply ESTAT, or our proprietary fitting formula, as it really does with all manufacturers. And we never had the ability to use ESTAT in doing real ear measurements or doing target matching with real ear. Now we have the ability to do this with the new REM target match, as well as hopefully make it a quicker, easier process. So again, it's 4 simple steps between the aspect of using the target match tool. You can do these binaurally too, so it's a quicker, more effective method than our traditional REM protocol. The target matching for ESTAT, as well as being able to use standard prescriptive formulas, exist within this in the software. It also will demonstrate the live measurements, as well as allow for your manual fine tuning once the measurements are done. So if you look closely at it, here's a quick video that we put together to kind of show you through that process. So you go in, and right in the middle navigation bar, you have the REM target match right there. The next thing that comes up will be the experience level setting you're at, the fitting formula that's being introduced, and the vent size. Also down in that lower left-hand corner, you'll see Auto Sweep. This is what will indicate the actual connection to your REM unit. We'll get into the compatible devices that we can use right now. At that point, it's going to be, you'll set up the hearing aid and set up the user to do your calibration. So once probe mics are placed, the calibration will start, run through that process and go through that calibration. Then once again, you can go into the idea and do your unaided response and do your next one. So again, go in, unaided, click the start button. I talk faster than the machine is. So we'll go through that part of it. You'll get to go through all of the standard aspect of the unaided. Then it will go through, calculate that. and then it will go into the next and go into your aided response. Again, with the aided response, it'll go in, it's using the international speech test signal from a standpoint of running it.
Alors, بيتهدى بتسليح الشويرش. أنت ذلك وين جيب هاوز بخالش وفي إزداد أفلو قاعد من قلش وقدي وشنرابت تيزال وحزة. شكت عن محوين خدالت كانت than the other. Pimming the box, بورفلون على خيرين وور. Alors, بيتهدى بتسليح الشويرش. أنت ذلك وين جيب هاوز بخالش وفي إزداد أفلو قاعد من قلش وقدي وشنرابت تيزال وحزة. شكت عن محوين خدالت كانت than the other. Pimming the box, بورفلون على خيرين وور.
Again, it goes through the aspect at that point in time, it's going to go in and do that target match and then take you back to that regular screen where you can make adjustments. Now, I'm going to tell you very truthfully at this point in time, I have not yet had a chance to use this yet with some people in real ear, and that's due to COVID right now and not being in clinics and doing any potential exposure with that. We do again have an audiology online session that addresses this, that you can go in and take a closer look, that they'll talk more about it. But again, this is a feature that we hope to see that two things will happen. If we can make real ear measurement quicker, more efficient, and apply it to the actual software quicker, and also take advantage of the fact of using eStat when appropriate for that individual.
Hey, Jim, I'll tell
Yeah.
you today, I had the experience to be able to do that real ear measurement target match for
Awesome.
the first time. It was awesome just because I don't have a real ear measurement system at my home office. And
Right.
so today I was able to be in office and I was doing a real ear measurement training. And then there happened to be a patient that came in. I wasn't able to be in the room with the patient, but I could overhear what was going on. And it was a perfect opportunity for us not only to do real ear measurement, but to use the target match. And it went very, very smoothly. It was so easy for the audiologist to go through this and do it. And the patient was elated to be able to have this experience in the office.
I am thrilled to hear that, Kate, and thank you for that input because,
Absolutely.
again, it's been one of those things that's been a little frustrating for us and not being able to get out in the field and play with some of these new toys right now. So that's great input, and I'm happy to hear that.
Definitely.
Again, from a standpoint of looking at what are the requirements, you are required to have the NOAA version 4.5.1 or higher. Inspire is 2020.1 or higher. Again, one of the things that's really great about this is look at all the hearing aids. You can go back and actually use this technology with the new software with some of the our older products. So you can go back to Soundland Synergy, you can go back to Picasso, you can go back to Muse and Muse IQ and go back and actually do those fittings and target match fittings with those patients if you still have them out there in the field. So I think that's a huge plus from a standpoint of being able to take advantage of newer or current technology. Again, these are the systems right now, as I talked before. So the Autometrics Oracle FreeFit, the Medrex Avant REM, and just released in October was the Inventus Maestro Trumpet. These are the three systems that are right now. VeriFit right now is not. Everything that I've heard from research's development as we continue to work with different companies to expand the application and the use of their devices in association with Inspire software. From a standpoint of the Thrive Control app, we continue to try to make it better and update what we're doing. Again, looking at the idea of all the different capabilities we have with the Thrive Control app, body tracking, brain tracking, self-check, fall alert, all of these wonderful new healthable devices that we've actually taken advantage of and can monitor better now. Thrive Assistant we talked about a little bit earlier. One of the things that was in here that I had a firsthand opportunity to talk about the other day was looking at the idea of the Find My Phone is a new one, but Find My Hearing Aids. I actually had a good friend, an audiologist that has a wonderful practice over in Eastern Oregon. Back around Halloween time, one of the activities he did with his team that they were able to do and do social distancing was take his team out, and they went out and got pumpkins at the pumpkin patch. After getting pumpkins, Neil got in the car and got halfway home and all of a sudden reached up and said, "Oh my gosh, my hearing aid's gone." He had pulled it off when he had taken his mask off. He drove back out to the pumpkin patch, got to his Thrive app, turned on the Find My Hearing Aids, did the navigation, he had everything set up, walked around where he was parked, and literally walked over to the area. Not only had he dropped that hearing aid in the mud, he had run over it in his truck. Still identified the hearing aid, still found the hearing aid, took it back, cleaned it up, and he's still wearing that hearing aid. That was the best Find My Hearing Aid story I've heard never, because that literally was an application of what this technology can do to save our patients a whole heck of a lot of money. But again, some of the new features you'll see is that we have a new onboarding process with the Thrive app. In TeleVoice, we talked about the Find My iPhone, I'll show you too, or Find My Phone. We also are exploring the idea of in-app purchases with lower level products to upgrade them. The live sessions are there, and we've also added Fall Alert to the basic mode. We'll talk about that more in just a second. But again, the process of getting people connected to the phone was always something that we went through. There's got to be an easier way to teach this because you as a professionals were spending a lot of time in helping people set up phones. Here's a quick video of some of the changes that we've made. So now when you initiate it, it's going to go through a quick tutorial of things that are available to you in the app and teach you to go through this and some of the things that you have the ability to do and make an adjustment. The end user agreement is right there. It's a simple click of the button and a push of the agree, and you can read the whole thing if you want to, but you don't have to. Now you also have the ability to make an easy cloud connection based on Apple, Facebook, or Google. Any of these different devices on your phone, if they had, will make a connection and make that cloud connection for you and initiate the aspect of hearing care anywhere, Thrive Assistant, Fall Alerts, all these things that we need to initiate through that cloud connection will be done that way. And it makes it easier than ever by just pushing a few buttons. Then you actually do the Bluetooth connection, and then you go through a quick volume control. It will do it itself, and the patient is going to hear these changes in volume, and they can actually do this live themselves on this screen. So they can stay right here and play with that volume control before they move on. They'll also go in and show you the different memories and show you how easy the adjustments are in going through the memories. So it's a little self-tutorial in going through all these things. It'll go through the aspect of the body and brain tracking. It'll help set up turning on the Find My Hearing Aid so we can take advantage of that money-saving feature that we have in the app. It'll be able to turn on notification reminders based on what they want to hear, whether it's emails, whether it's calendar, whatever those things may be, they can set it up that way. They also will set up their Thrive Assistant or their Siri or Alexa, however you want to put it. And this will make a decision whether you want to use the hearing aid microphone or you want to use the phone microphone. At that point, you're all set up and you're ready to go. So again, what we really wanted to do was do everything we could to make that function with the app a little bit easier. Here's the Find My Phone feature that is a first for Starkey. And what we did is we actually set it up. This is Yoav, one of our advanced research scientists over in Israel, who is one of the guys responsible for developing it, this Find My Phone. And this is a quick little video they had over him showing it. So he puts it down, lost his phone, reaches up, taps his hearing aid.
Where is my phone?
All of a sudden the phone starts ringing and you can go find your phone. So again, as opposed to just being able to find your hearing aids, we've added that technology that you can go in and actually find your phone now. In-app purchases is something that we're exploring a little bit here. And now you can actually look at reminders and actually purchase these online through Google Play stores and add that feature to your 1,200 devices. This may be the new way that we're looking at the idea of what features people are using and not using and how we can apply those more appropriately with the individuals. So stay tuned to that one and we'll have more information. And again, with the Thrive app is something we're very proud of, and we continue to expand it, do everything we can to make it better from a standpoint of function and connectivity. And then we also have the Care app, which again is primarily with just Livio Edge AI devices, but this is literally the ability to have a caregiver be able to monitor what's going on with a particular patient. They actually go in, they actually choose what they want to share with the patient and what information they want them to be able to see and not see, whether it's brain, body function, fall alerts, all this information can be monitored and seen. Since we have so many more seniors now that aren't leaving their homes and still living independently, we have more people, and I work with a lot of people who have gone through the idea of saying they've put them on their parents and their ability to actually see that mom or dad's getting up and walking and moving about and having those type of interactions is really satisfying and comforting to a lot of individuals out there. Not even to talk about the safety aspect and what Fall Alert will be able to do. That was the other thing is that one of the things we changed in the actual Thrive app was before you had to be in the advanced mode to be able to use Fall Alert with individuals. Not true anymore. What we found with an awful lot of people that we had out in the field that were using this, and Fall Alert was a big plus to them in wearing their new Livio AI hearing aids, is that they didn't want to deal with a lot of the brain tracking and then the steps and all those things. And it just made it too confusing. So we wanted to make sure that we still had the ability within the app that they could use Fall Alert. For that reason, the basic mode within the Thrive app now also contains Fall Alert, which is a huge plus for a lot of our individuals that, as my wife puts it, she's an analog girl and not a digital girl. So again, as we move forward and I look at some new things, this is where you look at the fact of how care works and Thrive Care. It's only done from a standpoint of a caregiver has to be invited, and it's only based on the idea of what information that patient wants to share. One thing I wanted to talk about real quickly, and I didn't have a complete slide, was if you haven't had a chance to take a closer look at our table mic, please do so. When first introduced, I had the same reaction that I think an awful lot of audiologists have, and that is the fact, oh great, another remote microphone. And then we went to Expo last year, and actually I watched it in use, and I was blown away. You know, these 8-directional microphones and the beamforming ability that we have with this directional microphone is truly impressive. We had this in a room in a big display room in Vegas with hundreds of people walking around and so much background noise you couldn't imagine. And we had these hooked up, and its ability to find a sound source in automatic mode based on who was speaking or what was coming in, your ability to focus in a particular area and point it at a person really was phenomenal. And the improvement in the signal to noise ratio truthfully blew me away. I had never heard a remote mic that functioned as well as this table mic does. And again, it's not just a table mic. There is a lanyard. You can wear this around your neck, a little heavier than our traditional remote microphones are. But again, the function is overwhelming. The best application I heard about this was a former employee of ours at Starkey who, Justin Osmond, and he works with the Merrill Osmond Foundation with his dad right now. And Justin has a terrible hearing loss and has grown up with it and lived with it his whole life. Well, Justin has two wonderful young kids right now that when they're in the back seat, Justin was struggling. He actually took the table mic and got a little bit of Velcro and adhered it to his wife's back seat on the passenger side and put it back there. Guess what? He can hear his kids in the back seat now. And I thought that was a real inventive type of application in using the table mic. But if you have more questions, I know our superstar Kate Marr will be able to answer all those questions for you on it, or feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to talk more about table mic. So to sum up, we got a pretty cool line of hearing aids right now. From a standpoint of custom rechargeables, RIC rechargeables, the new BTE, turbochargers, a full line of accessories that can solve almost every different option out there. And beyond that, these are not your dad's hearing aids. These are wonderful new devices that are applying all new sorts of technology we never imagined in the past. And I couldn't be happier to have spent a little time with you today and gone over these. Again, any questions you have, feel free to ask any of them. Other than that, Kate, I am going to click to that last slide and say thank you very much. And I hope I didn't keep you all up too late.
Well, Jim, thank you so much. I'm going to take over control and hopefully I'll be able to start this share process pretty smoothly, because I can't imagine I can add too much more to what you have done. Let's see. I think I'm gonna fall into the same boat that you were in. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna new share. I'm gonna share my screen here. And let's see if we can get this going. Let's see. Let's see if you guys can see my full screen. There. Full screen or just the partial?
I got a full screen on you, Kate.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, we'll move forward from here. So again, just thank you so much to Jim. And I've been watching the questions coming through. And the fun thing is that there have been very few, which says to me that Jim Knudsen did a fantastic job of talking through the full product line. One of the questions that came through was, what about the custom hearing aids and how easily do they connect? And so I don't know if you guys can see my video. It's probably small in the screen, but I've got my custom hearing aids here. I love them. I wear them all the time. And how easy is it for them to attach to the charger? It's very easy. I don't advise your patients to drop them the way that I do, but literally you can drop them very easily onto the charger and they connect right up. In terms of the remote or the table microphone that Jim was talking about, one thing I like to bring up at the table mic, or two things actually, is A lot of your customers, especially the younger ones that are still working, they're probably using a lot of remote, I guess, virtual type systems for their calls. And so one that we use a lot at Starkey is Microsoft Teams. And Microsoft Teams is very good. It's a great platform, but it doesn't do great at streaming through Bluetooth earpieces, hearing aids being the one that we're most interested in. And so I plug that table mic into my computer, and it allows me to take those Microsoft Team calls directly through my hearing aids. And it just makes it a lot easier than having to go from hearing aid to earpiece, from hearing aid to earpiece, and just makes it a smoother transition to when you have those patients that may be wanting to have that connectivity. Another application for that table mic is whenever you order that device, it comes with a pair of headphones. And I know the picture that Jim showed may not have shown that little headphone port, but you actually can plug a pair of headphones into that device, and the patient can wear it around their neck and plug the headphones in. So if you have a patient that hasn't yet been fit with hearing aids or isn't a candidate for hearing aids for whatever reason, this is almost like your coming of age pocket talker. So you can utilize this device very similar to a pocket talker, even if a patient has not been fit with hearing aids for whatever reason. One of the other questions is, what is the range of my phone between the hearing aids and phone? And I may ask Jim to kind of pipe in on this one, but I cannot sit down all day, even though I've become sort of an inside rep with the restrictions for travel, but I constantly walk around. I'll walk, I'll be listening to music or on a phone call, and I'll walk to the kitchen. And I would say that I'm probably a good 50 feet away from my kitchen. And right when I turn that corner to get into my kitchen is when it kind of starts to disconnect. It'll start to waver in and out a little bit before that, but it's quite a good distance. And again, I walk around all day long just because I can't sit in that chair the whole day. What is the difference between the remote mic and the mini remote mic? So the remote mic plus is one of our accessories, and it's really a 5-input device. So you've got a telecoil, it's line-in, it's Bluetooth, it is a remote microphone, and it does give you mobile capabilities. So it really is an all-encompassing device, whereas just the mini remote mic is simply a remote microphone. And so that's kind of the difference between that. But also keep in mind that if you are doing a product that does fall on our SurfLink antenna, those accessories will apply, whereas it's a difference between our 2.4 gigahertz antenna or our Starkey Hearing Technologies antenna. So those accessories will be slightly separated. So great questions. These are, again, very few questions, but I'm always here to give you more information. What I wanted to go through tonight is a little bit about, additional pieces. And again, my portion won't be very long because Jim did cover so very much. So again, I appreciate everything that Jim has done for us in training us tonight. There we go. So again, thank you to Jim. I did do Jim some injustice because he's been at Starkey much longer than my tenure. But I do remember as I started at Starkey, him being such a Providence piece and still just a great asset to Starkey in our education and training team. So Jim covered a ton of the product and a ton of the product offerings. And really got you guys super informed on all of the capabilities that we have. So there's more that he didn't cover, not a lot again, but we'll just briefly cover over some additional product offerings, some additional service offerings from Starkey, a little bit about Starkey and Georgia Academy, and then if there's any additional questions, then we'll give you some time for that. So the first product offering I wanted to go through, because I did get a lot of questions from you guys about this, is our sound gear department. Sound gear has been a long-standing department with Starkey, just mainly because of our customization and making sure that our patients not only are able to get that amplification they need, but protect the hearing that they have. And so one of the most important questions that you as providers ask your patients is, have they had any noise trauma in the past, whether it's loud music or shooting guns? But even after they're fit with hearing aids, we still want to protect what hearing they do have. And so that's where sound gear is super important. And even if they're not yet candidates for hearing aids, we do want to make sure that we stave off any of that noise-induced hearing loss that we possibly can. And so sound gear is our option there. The latest offering from Sound Gear is our Phantom product, and it's a custom Bluetooth rechargeable hearing protection, but also enhancement device. And this comes in 2 different forms, whether it's recreational or industrial. And again, just a fantastic product, very similar to our custom device, our custom hearing aid, however, in a conservation kind of way. And so really fantastic. The benefits of that Phantom are going to be automatic protection from loud sounds and gunshots, hearing conservation, game and environmental sounds with ease. It's custom molded, streams calls, music, and other audio wirelessly from your phone. And one overnight charge ensures that you're powered all day long. Most of our customers aren't going to be hunting or gaming all day long. So they're going to have an even more advantage there with the full day charge. With that kit comes with your sound gear, your power adapter, and the charger. It comes with a zipper. They do come with a lanyard system and the wax guards, as well as the cleaning system that you might need. Comes with a 1-year warranty, 30-day risk-free trial, and then there's sort of the technical specifications that you might need as far as the noise rating, amplification, and suppression. So the other offerings that we would have from Sound Gear would be our Platinum ITEs, our Silver ITE, and then Industrial Instant Fit and Shooter Instant Fit. And so these are going to be, of course, not the rechargeable, and it doesn't have the 2.4 gigahertz Bluetooth low energy, but it still gives them that ability to have that conservation noise protection. And then we have the non-electric hearing protection, so just the filtered earplugs, high frequency noise filters, as well as the solid earplugs, really just to be able to use in a variance of different environments. So we spoke a lot tonight on the Livio product, but the question does come about, what if Livio isn't the solution? And in addition to the Livio, we also offer the Picasso line. So if your patient is in need of an invisible solution, we see a lot of invisible needs here in Georgia. So an IIC or a CIC, Picasso would be your latest technology offering. So again, whether you're doing the invisible product or the Picasso, they come in the wireless technology as well as the wired technology for really a size need. But these would be those solutions for you. Some power options. So for your RIC molds, of course, we do a full line of ear molds available to you, our AP or that absolute power embedded. And then really just a huge variation of those ear mold options. Keep in mind too, we do have some non-custom RIC options. So where you see that RIC helix, that helix lock option, and even some of our canals, we do have some non-custom that you can keep there in the office for your patient. So here's a couple of our absolute power RIC options that we have for you. Keep in mind too that just because we call them AP RIC molds doesn't necessarily mean they have to be utilized for power. So if it really is a fit need, we can definitely make this mold with a 40 dB receiver or 50 dB receiver. It can be utilized not just for power, but also for a better fit. So so those are some additional product offerings. What about our additional service offerings? So just keeping in mind that we are here to help you no matter what capacity. Our online product resources are really all encompassing, whether it's to place an order, to get information, resources, supplies, whatever it may need. I always like to preface this that we want to give you any opportunity to work with Starkey. We do offer this online product, but if it's easier for you to place a call for our world-renowned customer service team, place a call to me, an email, a text, really whatever is the easiest way for you to communicate to us, we're more than happy to be able to help you out. But if you are looking for a quick information about a white paper that we have from Starkey Pro, a quick tip, a video that you might need to show a patient how to do something, all of that's available in addition to your ability to order those products online. So what about Starkey and GAA? So of course I have to stand up and really stick my chest out about how proud I am to have been a part of the Academy and our partnership with the Academy over the past couple of years. I came to Georgia, oh gosh, probably almost 12 years now, and I was really welcomed with open arms to the Academy. Little did I know it was because there was a place for me in different service opportunities. But I can honestly say I would never look back from serving on different groups for marketing and membership to serving on the board for a number of years, convention. I so very much look forward to us having an in-person convention because I love to see everybody's smiling face. But most recently working with the legislative efforts, and Alice Lee knows you've really just been a key person in bringing me into that. But I do so much love this group and the community that we have, the questions that come in, and the work that we do here in the state of Georgia. So I really appreciate you guys allowing me to be a part of that. Our resources as far as our staff for Georgia, we have Matt Davis is our managing director, and he's based in Minneapolis. Our inside rep is Scott Lyric, and he also is based in Minneapolis. And then of course I'm your field sales representative and here to help you out with whatever you might need. And that's kind of everything that I've got. Do we have any questions that may be lingering? I'm taking a look at the chat and I don't see any more that have been posted, but please let me know if you do see any or have any questions that you might want to ask. I don't hear anything, but I will tell you this, we really appreciate you guys being here tonight. I think we're going to let you out about 20 minutes early, and I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. But please let me know if you guys have any other questions for me or Jim or anybody here at Starkey. You can always, again, get in touch with me, Kate_Mar@starkey.com. And we're always here to be able to help you out and everything that you guys have done, and especially everything that you guys have allowed me to be a part of. I really appreciate everything, and just appreciate Jim being a part of this tonight too.
Thanks, Kate.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. We really appreciate everything.